Jeans on your fence, hiding away from your man. Oh, it's a passion. Oh, tell a tale of 1,000 lonely days. Yeah, she's the real thing. Yeah, only I can make a change if you want to be together. It's so good to.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? What's going on? We're gonna change this real quick. There we go. How's it going, everybody? We're here. Sorry we were late. You only had a couple of minutes of music. I do apologize about that. I got so engrossed in talking with people and stuff like that, considering we haven't seen Jesse and so I'm gonna blame it all on Jesse. So I'm gonna blame it on
It's me.
Jesse.
I did it. It's my fault. I'll take responsibility. So good evening, everyone.
So Pete hasn't been on too in a couple of weeks as well. So Pete's been running around putting up telescopes and you know doing what he's got to do. So I mean it's great to have you both back. I'm sure Eric will be on eventually. He's probably eating dinner or something. But it's funny. Pete's got like the two-face going on because he's like, let that be your last battlefield. Remember that Star Trek episode where the Frank Gorshin and he was half white and half black?
Like in the sun, in the shade.
we got Pete here, we got Jesse here, and we got some good news. We got some really great news going on. I'm not going to do the whole kind of sponsors thing tonight, but I will promise the people that have been waiting on shirts. Yes, charity. Your shirt is coming. I'm putting it in the mail this weekend. They finally came in and should be good to go. And plus, for those of you that are on the black hole and quasar, I think you all guys are also going to be getting a thank you from AstroWorld Telescopes with a gift certificate in there for your patience. So thank you so much for that. So how's it going, everybody? Newman, Mike, Dennis, who else is out there? Corin, how's it going? Staying up really late as usual. I see Mark Ellis floating in there. And that's it for right now. I don't expect a lot of people tonight because I'm so far behind that I didn't get a chance to put out all the social media that I usually put up. So everybody put out the word and get everybody in there and tell them to stop watching Adam Block and come on and hang out with us because we're funner. And I'm just kidding. Al, Adam's been a fan of the show and he's been on a couple times. So hey Gideon, hey Josh. But yeah, so we did book Helena Cochran. So from Helena's Photography, we nailed down a date. Saw it just go across the screen. July 29th is going to be the day, and I'm going to switch you guys over. Actually, you should be seeing the output anyway. So you guys see the three out, right? The three boxes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So Pete, I mean Jesse, what you guys been up to? I mean, feel free.
I have not been up to much myself. I've just been, let's say, I told you guys, kids are done today. I work till Wednesday, so it's just been, tying up end of year stuff at school. So not much fun, not much, and graduations, that's where I was last Friday. My best friend's oldest child graduated from high school, so went to a party over there, and just all that end of year stuff. My child's partner graduated from Colorado State on Saturday, so they flew out there. We were not able to go just because I had to be here for work and whatnot. But there's a lot of that stuff going on. So not much astro, just kind of, I did move my telescope over to its summer spot. That is nice.
Okay.
My husband started taking down one of the trees. I want to say it was actually before Mother's Day. So it's been like that long, gosh. But he started taking down one of the trees, one of the big monster one. And he had to bit of challenge with that one. Let's just say he's going to pay somebody to get the rest of it down. Thankfully, he's all right. I'll just say that. But he had to jump out of the ladder, because it did exactly what everyone hopes a tree won't do. So he, of course, I think that's always in the back of your mind when it's happening. So as soon as he heard it, heard that like crack and saw that split, he jumped right out. So he
Wow.
got a little bit of the tree out, but so that's about that. So now we've got, he got 3. It was the third big one that he was getting down, but that's about it. Honestly, not too much. I'm ready for summer. I've got to pick my summer targets, and I've got about this much more space above me. So that, because of that, my husband killed himself taking this tree down for me. So I've got to find something new over there. Hang on, I'm going to show you this tree. It's one of those ugly things. I got it, but oh dang it, I can't find the picture. Anyway, but that's about it. So how about you, Pete? What have you been up to?
Well, Jesse, is today the last day of school?
Today was the last day for the kids. Oh, there is. So that's what the tree did.
Oh my goodness, it cracked, huh?
Yeah, and he was on the back side of it. You can see where the ladder is back there, and so he had to jump out of that. Yeah, it must have been rotten inside of it. So when he cut it, it just did exactly that like everything when the one thing you hope doesn't happen when you're cutting a tree out, it happened. So,
and that's why I don't cut trees.
Yeah, and that's why I still have trees, I think now, but no. So kids are done today. Kids are done school today, and we go in. Teachers are in. Actually, we're in the building Monday and Wednesday. Tuesday is technically a grading day, and they've allowed us to work from home from them. My grading's done, so I'm
I hope it happens. I really do. But
I do too. Yeah, we'll have to kind of chit chat, and as it gets a little bit closer. I mean, I'll probably wait.
Eric showed up. Eric's here. Hold on a second. Let me get Eric in the mix here. And
hey, Eric.
Do we have?
Good evening.
Yep, we have audio, so you're good. I think. There you go. Perfect.
I had to turn on the mic.
Yeah, there you go.
What's up, guys?
We're just getting reacquainted. So it's been a while. Jesse's been cutting trees down and attempting to kill her husband. Pete's been going around
policy, right, Jesse?
What's that?
It's the insurance policy. Is that what you're trying to get at?
Something, I don't know. Yeah, it was. He and my son were. My son was the one doing the guiding, and now we know. It's like we have enough that we've taken them down, but we've never had any that are this close to the house, this close to the shed, and it was one of those that had to be taken down very carefully and in little. So we just need to suck it up and pay I think it was like $4,000 to take the one tree out. It's like, gee,
must have been a big tree.
It's a big tree. We have very mature trees here. I mean, the last one we took down was, I think it was like 95 feet. It was a tulip. Yeah.
I'm worried about my 2 trees. I got 2 30 footers, but it's right in my north. It's in my north. What the hell is it? Northwest. So it's in the northwest. So it blocks off my whole west.
Oh yeah, and that's when I say I have trees. I have 100-foot trees literally all around me. I mean, it's I could put my hands up just like this, and that's about how much sky I have. So I got to find new targets. I mean, because summertime, like I said, I've got a little bit more cygnus this year. Woohoo!
There you go. Hey, you can get Saturn region. You can get a couple of things going on. You can get Barnard's Loop and all that.
Yeah, I need to make use of that extra little bit of space. Now, granted, I mean that's not the only reason that it's had to come down. The main reason is it needs to come down because it's too close to the house and shed, and it is a very tall, very mature tree, and it's starting to do this. But I will absolutely take the extra sky that's going to come along with it when it's down.
Hey, Dan, I think you mean Cygnus Loop, not Barnard's Loop.
I'm sorry, Cygnus Loop. My bad. No, but wrong one. My bad.
Wrong loop.
Yeah, I've done the Veil
I'm a little loopy
so many times, and oh my gosh, you know what? I've got to pull out my books because I don't even know what I'm going to image at Cherry Springs. I need to figure that out. I'm bringing
because you got to remember that you're depending on where you are in the field, you have that remember that tall tree line right in the south.
Mhm.
So if you want to get anything lower than, and not that not that normal people shoot under 30 degrees, but
Yeah.
some cool stuff is at that level for us.
But that tree line is nothing. I look at that and it's like, it's hardly even, I look at that, I'm like, that's nothing. That's a little baby tree line. I can work with that.
But the whole thing for me is that, every target that I planned for was low and in the south. The Dark Shark, a couple other, the Lagoon, M8, all that kind of stuff is over there. And every time I went to it, I was like, well, I only got 20 minutes left. What's the point? So, before it goes behind the trees, so it really didn't make any sense to do that. If I want to do the Dark Shark, I'm going to have to go to the beach or if I need row Ophiuchus, I'm going to need somewhere that's dark, like with a lower horizon, or travel to Florida so it gets higher, so, so
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I mean, I wanted to do just a lagoon and Triffid. I mean, I know everybody does
you could get that from Cherry Springs. I did that last year.
I did, but it was terrible. The data just wasn't good. I did not realize it was my lens was fine. I had my dew heaters on my on my lenses, but I didn't have it on my camera. Is what it was. The one on my camera was not working, and I just, like, I set everything. It was going, and maybe I might have had like 1 or 2 photos, and then they start getting that ring from the dew on the camera set. It's like, oh man. So I just actually just wrote down on my list, just in case it happens again. This is my
There you go.
blow dryer, just in case. I mean, because like you turn your heaters on, but it still takes a little bit of time. I don't want to waste any time.
Yeah. So you were talking about your sky, right? And what it looked like. You want to see what my sky looks like?
Yes.
That's what my sky looks like. So the green is where I can't shoot because of trees or power lines.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is all the sky that I have left. Once that other telephone, this used to be a lot wider like this because of that one telephone line. It just really, because it was higher in the sky, it just cut off literally half my north over here.
That stinks.
So it's horrible. Time to move.
Yeah.
So Pete, tell us about your travels, Pete. What you been up to?
Well, I've been doing that install down at the Apple Valley Unified School District, and it's on a Bayers mount, beautiful Bayers mount. Anyway, the new owner of Bayers is going to get that mount balanced with the scope, and the other scope is going to be a side-by-side setup. So I'm thinking, Dan, is when I get back down there, I'll be probably there on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So on a Friday night, I may be able to do a live show and actually get some images so people can kind of see this install. But it's going to be the one that they're going to do an article in Sky and Telescope magazine regarding this. So it should be pretty interesting. Today is the first day we've had blue skies in a week. We've had pop-up thunderstorms here coming down the west slope of the Sierras, and it's just been miserable. Well, actually, it hasn't been miserable. It's been kind of nice because the temperature's only been in the 70s, so we don't get subjected to triple digits. So it's been really kind of nice. But today's the first day, and I think on Sunday I'm going to head up to the winery. I've got to work at the winery on Sunday, and then I'm going to go ahead and take the scope behind me and go up there and spend the night and just do some testing and do some imaging. But all in all, just everything's going good, and I think everything's going to fall into place here come July 1st with Teledyne. It looks like I'm on board with Teledyne cameras now, so it's officially going to start probably sometime here at the beginning of July. So it should be interesting. And Teledyne was the camera manufacturer that put the IR cameras on the James Webb Telescope. So it's a pretty interesting little setup. So it should be a lot of fun. But all in all, everything's good, and kind of glad to be on the show tonight.
Congratulations on landing that position with Teledyne. So I knew you would land somewhere. It's just a matter of when and where. Now, no one's gonna pass up the infamous Pete Myers. But glad you landed over there, and it's gonna be really cool to be in. That's really a scientific real scientific grade kind of job. So it's going to be kind of cool. So
Appreciate it.
Very cool.
Good.
Congratulations. Yeah, much success to you. Man. Much success to you.
Well, Eric, I watched one of your shows today. I was actually trying. I had
oh yeah,
Dan could give me some insight. I was watching your little video on SharpCap. And,
Okay.
I was watching that because for some reason I was having all kinds of issues when I was doing the sensor analysis. I could open up the window, but I couldn't see where the start window was or the proceed window. The button. I couldn't get it. And I was just struggling. I'm closing windows. I'm doing absolutely everything. I thought maybe it might be an image scale or a scaling issue that I had, but it turned out that Dan had the same. Was kind enough to show me exactly what happens and what I need to do. But I kind of got on there checking your little video because I thought maybe Eric is running that same issue. And I can check that out.
No, I haven't. So
so I'll show you what Pete was talking about a little bit. I actually have it set up already. So just to kind of give you an example here, let me make sure I got this look so you guys all can see Pete.
And Dan, you might want to define to everybody what this is all about, because this is an important feature that SharpCap has.
Well, I'll let Eric talk about what actually it is, because he did a really good video about it, and he probably knows a lot more about it than I do. But I'll just show you what you and I discovered with this, and I'll turn off the actual playlist so you can actually see the bottom of what's going on. So as you can see, we have the camera sensor analysis running right now, or actually not running, but the program is. Now, Pete called me up, or we were speaking before the show, and said, hey, well, the start button's missing. Where the hell's the start button? The start button, how do you run it? Right? So it looks like Pete was having a little issue with his resolution and where the things were. So sometimes when you move things a little bit, and if you just raise this up a little bit, there's a start button. So that's the first thing. But that wasn't it, because he didn't see anything. He didn't even see the box. He just saw a line. So if this happens to you, this is what you got to do. Now, probably what happened was you went into something called auto hide. And if you go into auto hide, well, where the hell did it go? We don't know where it went. But just like on Windows or Mac, when you roll over it, it'll pop back up. So it's kind of hidden down here where it says camera sensor analysis on the bottom left. And there it is. So if you roll over it, it'll pop back up. And if you go away from it, it'll disappear. And then in order to get it back, you just got to go into dock, I believe, if I remember right. You got to float it. And then you got to drag it into the bottom or the side, wherever you want it to go. And then you can resize when you're done and get it to where you want it to be. So you can see the start button, and then you'll be able to get the histogram and everything, and all the case. So those are a couple of things where things kind of disappear on you. So that's just something but I'll let Eric talk. You want to talk a little bit about what it does, Eric, because if you remember.
I'll try to remember some of this now, because I actually need to do it on future cam on my other camera I have. But the sensor analysis, it basically measures based off of different gain settings. It measures your ADU and your full well capacity. Okay. To compare, and you can compare that to the manufacturer's specs. Now, it's very easy to use. You simply need to have decent, even illumination. Many times when I use mine, I'll either use natural light, pointing it to, I'll have it pointing maybe not totally at zenith, but maybe a little bit off. I'll even sometimes, but you can't have it too bright, because it'll bring up a histogram that will measure that brightness level. So, and it has to be at a certain level and at a certain peak, right? So, because as you see right down below, you have your histogram, and it gives you the different brightness levels, and you usually want to have it right around 50%. So sometimes you may want to use diffusers or maybe a shirt, or wait until an ideal time of the day to do this. You may even consider using light panels. You can actually use vacuum flat panels to do these measurements too, but it's usually best to try to use as much natural light as you possibly can. So once that is done and you have your histogram set, then you can go ahead and press the start button. It'll begin the measurement processes. And it can even you can even have it do binning levels for you. So you can even measure your ADU and well capacity based off of bin 1, 2, 3, what have you. And you will get a text file basically that you can drop into and convert into an Excel spreadsheet, which I have done, and it lists out your well capacity based off of the particular gains. And this will begin to help you with what is the next step, which is the smart histogram. You cannot use the smart histogram without first doing the sensor analysis within SharpCap. And the goal of the smart histogram is what with Robin Glover, his goal is to give you the best analysis of what amount of, say, like timed exposure you would need for your images until you get to a certain point where you're having diminishing return values. So basically that's the smart histogram goal. And so, but first you do have to run the sensor analysis. And I do have a video within my channel, Astro with Eric, that explains the sensor analysis as well as the smart histogram and how you need to do each step. So I think here, there you go. So Dan, it looks like he has put something on his scope, maybe to adjust the light level. And you can see
Alexa, turn on the dining room lights.
This, he has a histogram here, but you want to have that histogram at a certain level, like I say, usually about 50%, maybe, or it says here at a peak of about 65% when you're doing exposures between almost a quarter of a second up to 2 seconds. And it'll even tell you that, at the very top there, you have the yellow bar if the exposures that you're doing are too long, right? And you need to either consider lowering or brightening, your illumination. Then once you do that, you have to set a particular area of your of the screen here of the image. And then once you're at that point, the information will change to green. And then you begin to start, and then it proceeds and it begins to do the analysis. And it'll go through the entire analysis. Then it will also measure, it'll ask you to cover up your scope. So then it can also measure your dark analysis and those pixels, bad pixels, what have you. So it measures everything from illumination, darkness, and then back. Then you reintroduce the illumination again to continue with the process. And then you get the information of these measurements. Then once that's done, you can save that information for future use as a future reference. Then you will go into SharpCap and do the smart histogram. Nina also has a tool that uses the sensor analysis to also give you a measurement of recommended exposure lengths based off, and you can then use that information for making decisions on how long you think you need to expose based on your illumination as well as your skies. Because with the smart histogram, it will measure your sky meter. It is basically also a sky quality meter. So it'll measure out your sky as well when you're pointing to, because you need to have a dark sky at the time when you're doing the smart histogram. And then it'll measure out that sky, your sky quality, and then you can begin to do a smart histogram analysis of if you're using a one-shot color, if you're using a monochrome, and you can use your different filters. So you can use, so like with me and Dan and several others who use monochrome, you can go through the smart histogram through each and every one of your filters, and then it will give out information as far as recommended minimum exposure times that you would need to gain, to gain the data that you're looking for. And you can then mark that for every filter that you have. And then you can just save that. It gives you information at the very bottom. Once this sensor analysis is done, you can copy that to your clipboard and then you can save it. It's going to measure everything, because it's going to measure from the top right all the way down to the bottom left, and it's measuring out your mean or average ADU.
Yeah, and Eric mentioned there's two modes, right? There's unity gain and there's dynamic range. So you may want to kind of.
Yes, there are two different modes, especially when it comes to the smart histogram, where you can measure via unity gain, which is usually when your your electron to ADU value measured out to 1 electron, and you have that 1 electron based off in your ADU gain. Your ADU value, and then you also have another setting, which is your high dynamic range setting, is when basically you go to practically zero gain. And with that, when you're imaging at zero gain, you are actually gathering a higher dynamic range versus when you're at unity, or when you're at your maximum gain level, which is usually when you have your maximum gain level, if I'm not mistaken, it is a bit noisier, if I'm not mistaken, or it's maybe the other way around.
The higher the gain, the more the noise.
The more the noise. Thank you. So at least this way, if you're doing it at a higher dynamic range, you have less noise, but you tend to also end up having to maybe have longer exposure times, minimum exposure times, because you're at zero gain. And you can have both of those different, you can have those different measurements to make decisions. And these are usually more of guidelines and recommendations. And I have actually used the minimum exposure values, and which is really nice. Especially if you're having certain issues, maybe with your mount, like right now with me with my SEM 90 having tracking issues. Maybe you can only track for so long, or guide for so long. My SEM 60, sorry.
I was like, they came out with the 90. I'm ready. I gotta go buy
it. Surprise! They came out with the 90. But so that is really good. So at least you can image, and each exposure can be, say, less than 30 seconds, or it could be 15 to 20 seconds. It really depends on that sky quality value that it measures out prior to it beginning its smart histogram analysis.
Yeah, I'm literally just running this, and it's funny because I have my flat panel on the table in front of my guide camera right now. So this is going to go back and forth. I don't even know if this is going to finish, but we'll see. It looks like it's going through the right thing. So
this is a very, very, very powerful program. I mean,
it is a very valuable, incredible program for the dollar amount that you're spending.
Absolutely.
It is absolutely incredible.
I got to put on the dark frame now. Hold on a second.
Yes.
I think we should definitely reach out to Dr. Glover and see if we could get him on as a guest, because I would love to be able to ask him questions, because this is an amazing little program. I mean, what
Alexa,
it does
turn
for
off
you,
the dining room
and
lights.
you're right, Eric, for what you're paying for it and for what you're getting, the return on the investment is unbelievable.
It is fantastic. And as I said, you can do the smart histogram and it'll do this and it'll do the measurement, or you can go into Nina, and Nina also has the, I believe it's called the optimal exposure calculator.
Yep.
And it's going to do the same thing for you basically.
However, I remember when we did this, we actually did this live on the show one night, right after you did your kind of video. And we kind of did like a live kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it told me, if I remember right, I'm probably wrong, but it told me that the max exposure I could take was 11 or 12 seconds.
Maybe based off of your sky quality. Maybe
Yeah, no, basically. But I mean, but I'm telling you right now, when I take a picture of, my RGB, my mono camera, I could go longer, definitely.
Oh yeah, you can go longer. And like I said, a lot of these are just, you could take them or leave them, but I use them as very good reference marks and guidelines, right? And I think they're great.
Or basically starting points.
Yeah, definitely starting
Yes,
points.
it's definitely starting points. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I'm on form today.
Uncover the sensor.
Idiot saying I'm on form today.
Really? I gotta uncover the sensor now again?
Just whenever people say base off, my neck hairs are going up and shivers running down my
Yeah, you get
spine.
made fun of.
Yeah, no, for my grammar. But it's absolutely marked for the $12 a year. It's absolutely worth it. I mean, I'm almost at my 5-year mark, and I dropped like $60 on this thing, and keep it, and then I just keep it going
Uncovered the
for
sensor. Okay? Let's see what happens. This is one thing you got to do with this is you got to run around back and forth.
Yeah, well, you do.
Well, like as Eric said, what I did to this afternoon is I just had the camera without it being attached to the telescope, and I had the Alentac flip flap, and so I illuminated a flip flap, and I just put the camera on top of that, and it was just perfect. So you're right, you can definitely do it without a telescope attached and just the camera just being on a flat panel. But as you said, Eric, you can literally point it up at zenith right outside and just kind of expose it to the atmosphere, right at
So and basically it will tell you, it's going to tell you that your illumination is too high or too low, and then you will take the proper steps to either start diffusing the light, waiting a little bit longer if you are pointing at zenith based off of whatever time you're at that at that particular moment. So there's different ways you can get that illumination down to where sharp cap needs it to be, around that 65% mark on the histogram, and then it'll go green and boom, you're gone. You're off.
Yep.
As you said, a lot of the people just use it for polar alignment, but I mean, it's incredible to see the other features. I mean, it's amazing to see what's on there. So it really is a very, very powerful program.
It's a great
program. And I've been using it quite a bit.
I do it on purpose. I do not do it on purpose.
Eric, all right, since you're being made fun of, just say Pleiades.
Pleiades.
That's
the Canadian.
We all love you, man.
Canadian border.
Pleiades or Pleiades?
Hold it. Is it Orion or Orion? Is it Orion or Orion?
No, that's Orion.
Is it Uranus or Uranus?
Uranus. It is Uranus.
Where's the damn
and Pluto is a planet.
Pluto is not a planet. I proved it.
Agreed.
Pluto is a planet. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't care what you say.
Pluto is not a planet.
It's a planet.
Not a planet.
I'm with you, Eric.
The Pleiades and the Pleiades.
I love it.
So you can use it on the fly. This is like a process. when you do it. You got to actually run the process, and the process is still running. And if it comes up, I'll show you the results, because it does take a little bit. But you know, I mean, it's a really good judger, if that's not even a good word. It's a really good program to allow you to check your sensor and check your sky and see how much you could expose, especially if you're dealing like anything that's plus, like I guess anything higher than Bortle 6 or 7. I mean, you're really going to want to kind of know how much you can push that sensor to without blowing things out or making your background too gray. You know, so you really, you know, this is definitely a good start. Like I said, you know, before, you know, I know that I could shoot a little bit longer, but it's all depending on your sky. And that sensor analysis, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, that sensor analysis could differ if you're using sky light, regular natural skylight. That analysis can differ from night to night based on, you know, yeah, right. So you know, one day you may be able to push the sensor a little bit more than another night, you know, so with the same equipment. So it's definitely like it's like a benchmarking kind of type thing
That's
to
exactly
know.
what it is. It's a benchmark,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what I even said. I believe I said that even in my on
Oh,
my
you did.
video.
You absolutely did.
It's a benchmark. So it is a very good start to get great information and a good idea of what, you know, how you, like you say, how far you can push that camera sensor. So,
Yeah. In case in point, you know, we look at the longevity of these sensors. I mean, it's hard to estimate that every individual detector is unique into itself, but it will give you an idea that if you do this maybe once a year, it will give you an idea about what is happening with the sensor itself. If the sensor is starting to slowly degrade, then you got some kind of a quantitative assessment and analysis to be able to say, oh, looks like this thing is not holding up. It's time to kind of replace it. So you're absolutely right. It gives you that
yeah,
capability as well.
Yeah,
that's one
absolutely.
thing that I do like about it as well. I haven't done it recently, but to your point, doing it at least once a year, it will definitely help you know how well your sensor is performing, if it's still um, hitting the mark that you're expecting, or if it is degrading, so you can plan appropriately for maybe replacing it or anything like that, or just to know how far you can push that sensor. You know, if you don't have the budget to get a new camera at the time, this is a good it's a good helper, you know, or
Absolutely.
it's helpful rather to
And as you said too, Eric, the ability to be able to put into an Excel spreadsheet. So let's say you bought a brand new camera and you run this particular test on it. And then every year you can definitely go ahead and do a quantitative and a qualitative analysis on the testing procedures to find out exactly what's going on. So maybe at the end of 5 years, you can look at it and say, yep, looks like something's not going on here. It's starting to degrade.
Yep.
I'll share my screen here and I'll give you an example of what the output looks like. Let me just
Actually, I have it up already. It's done.
okay.
Do you have it?
I have mine from my cameras that I do
Up to
it.
you. I don't care. I have this one too. It don't matter.
So let me go to my screen share. Entire share. So here you have, and I've done this on my original, like my 183 MC. I still have that information. My 294s, but here's my 2600 mono, and you would basically it would look like this, and it would give you this information: your gain values, your electrons per 80 to ADU, noise, full well capacity, and your dynamic range stops and relative gain measurements. And to your point, Pete, you can continue to do this or utilize this tool every year and see how it's still performing, if it's still compared to the original numbers that you measured in the beginning, or if there's any types of degradation. So,
Yep.
and
So,
like I said, you can convert it to a spreadsheet.
yep. So just a quick question, Eric. Can you pull that back up?
Yeah.
Then let's take a look. Looking at the gain, what would be the value close to being at unity? So if we're looking at an E for an ADU value, we're looking for 1.
You're
There
looking
should
for
be a
1.
value there. Yep.
And there's your relative gains. There's 0, 4. I believe for the 2600, it is right around here, if I'm not mistaken.
What, for the 183?
No. For the 2600, I believe it's around 100.
Yep.
And then you'll have your read noise per the electrons of, based on your read noise, full well capacity. And if you are at 0 gain, which is basically your imaging at high dynamic range, there's my full well depth. And I've actually compared this to ZWO's information on their website, and it's pretty in line.
Yep. So this kind of once again corresponds to when we talk about the target being a high surface brightness or a low surface brightness target. If it's a low surface brightness target, we want to have more of a higher dynamic range to be able to get a lot of the outliers that are the filaments, right? So that's kind of where you're going to get really familiar with the fact of your target, knowing that your target is either a high surface brightness target or a low surface brightness target. And getting back to that, when I mean a high surface brightness target, like an M42 or an M31, as compared to say maybe like a very low surface brightness target, something like say Simius 147, the Spaghetti Bowl Nebula. So that would give you a good idea to determine, do I want to consider looking at the high dynamic range or going with unity gain? So you're absolutely right. This gives you a quantitative value on that.
Yep.
Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, for the 2600, unity gain is marked at 120. So, which is kind of weird because they give you 119 and 121. They don't give you actually, 120, which would have been kind of nice, but it gives you, the gain right in between, on either side of unity. And it's still there, it lets me know, okay, there's my full well capacity. And I think it's just a really cool tool, personally.
It really is, because I mean, once again, a lot of people say, well, what's my exposure time? So having this particular algorithm built into SharpCap, it gives you a good starting point, because it will tell you exactly what your exposure duration should be. And if I'm not mistaken too, Eric, it also gives you how many exposures you should take, like whether, is it 5, 6, 10, or 15? Because watching your video, you actually took 8, if I'm not mistaken, on that one nebula complex.
Yes. And it turned out really well. But yeah, it will give you a recommended number of exposures that you would, that you would need to take. And then beyond that, it's basically saying that this is beyond doing this number of exposures, there's not really any additional value
There's no
to do
return on the investment. Yeah.
No return on the exactly.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice, because if that is what they're saying, and this is basically, it will help me if, say, you wanted to image multiple targets during during the night. If you go that route, then you can say, all right, I don't need to spend 6-7 hours or an entire night on one target. If all I need is this number of exposures at this given time frame, then heck, yeah, you could probably go through 3, 4, whatever the number could be of targets in a given night.
Yeah, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the sensor analysis does not calculate the thermal noise. So it only
No, it
does the
calculates
read
the read
noise.
noise.
Yeah, it just does the
Yes.
read noise. So um I guess still just as a best practice, you should probably still have your camera being cooled while you're doing this to whatever temperature,
Yes.
just as a best practice,
Definitely.
because unfortunately, it doesn't monitor your read noise. I mean your thermal noise. It does do your read noise. So for the numbers, maybe it doesn't matter on the sensor analysis because you're really judging the brightness and the exposure time, not the thermal noise that it generates.
Right. Yeah. And to that point, Dan, you could use this and you using the smart histogram. Yes, you have to deal with that thermal noise, but if you're using an uncooled camera, using the smart histogram in the sensor analysis, this could then tell you, hey, you don't need to image per, each exposure doesn't need to be as long, so you may not have as much thermal noise per light,
Right. Yeah.
which is
That's true.
helpful.
And it's interesting is that I got onto their forum site today and I was actually looking at a lot of the responses that Dr. Glover had responded to. And one of the questions was saying, what about DSLRs? And that's always a good question is we always ask people, say, well, what's my ISO setting? And believe me, the ISO settings for probably 99% of the DSLRs is between 800 and 1600 ISO if you're going to use that. People think, well, wait a minute, I'm so used to doing terrestrial photography, I need to be down at 100 or 200. But you'd be amazed to see that when you're using DSLRs for astrophotography, you want to be at that sweet spot between either 800 or 1600 ISO.
Yes. I remember when I was using my DSLR, I kept it at 1600. That was,
Yep.
I felt that was just the sweet spot for my particular Canon camera.
Yep.
And I just left it at that.
That's what I used for my T3i for many years. I just left it at 1600. Whatever it was, it was. Once I could get that histogram off that left edge, that's what it was.
Yes. That was it.
Yeah. But I think really we should definitely reach out to Dr. Glover. I'd like to have him on as a guest because I think he's got something special here in SharpCap.
He does. He most certainly does. And he's been doing this for as long as I can remember. So I don't know how long SharpCap has been out, but I've been using it since I've gotten started with astrophotography.
Yep.
And as I said, every camera that I purchase, I do a sensor analysis on it at least once. But to your point, Pete, I should probably consider doing one each year just to see how the camera is performing
over time,
and maybe also doing that smart histogram, giving me an idea or that reference point to say, all right, this is the number of exposures I need, this length of time, and try that out again and see how that turns out. And then that can help me better plan to say, yeah, maybe I can do multiple targets.
Yep. It's amazing is that once you kind of do a lot of this stuff, you'll be amazed to see it what other, when you do the quantitative analysis aspect of it, what other data that you can retrieve from the quantitative analysis. And in case in point, as you said, Eric, looking at the ability to be able to do multiple targets in one night, if you don't have to do 30 or 50, light frames, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
DB had a question, my buddy Dave, and we could throw this around to everybody. I think we're all going to pretty much just kind of say the same thing, but how often do you all redo your calibration frames?
I do mine once a quarter.
Yeah,
my darks, I do them every 3 months.
3 months.
Yep.
There you go. I do it every 3 months, unless if I see a difference in my flats. or I start seeing some random funkiness in my, like I got a hot pixel that wasn't picked up before, or a group of pixels, or a bad column or row, not so much prevalent in the CMOS cameras as the CCD cameras, a little bit more susceptible to those. But I say, you know what, flats, flat darks, bias, whatever darks, every 3 months. Now, if you are in a part of the country where your weather does not change, and I don't think there's any place in the country that this does, but if you don't have swings in temperature, so maybe you're at, God forbid, you're at 65 to 80 all year round. I don't know where that would be. Maybe you
San
wouldn't have to
Diego.
do it. Maybe you wouldn't have to do it as much. Maybe every 6 months. But if you're going from a cold northern winter to a hot northern summer, where your dark frames, and it gets harder to cool in the summer and
Yes.
less to cool in the winter, you may want to be doing it every 3 months, or maybe every 6 months. You really got to determine. Darks are really susceptible to your own camera and your own equipment. So you really need to judge for yourself what schedule you need to be on as for the calibration frames is concerned. For me, I just do it as just like everybody else here, as a best bet every quarter, just because of the temperature swings that I have in New York. That's my reasoning behind it. Now, if I had a garbage camera, maybe I would do it every month. Who knows? But you're going to have to judge that as you go through your post processing and your calibration. Actually, it's not even post, it's actually pre. When you're sitting there and you're doing your stacking and your calibration and you come up with an integrated frame and you start to see defects that weren't either subtracted or divided out, depending whether you're doing darks or flats, it's time to change. It's time to do something different. So the pictures worked before. So it's not a problem with the equipment. Take new darks, take new flats. And for those of you that don't notice, you only need to, if you're on PixInsight, you could throw in 8 of each calibration frame and just one light to make it go quick. And you'll be able to see if it gets calibrated correctly. So, usually I do 5 lights, and I do 10, 10, 10, and 5 lights.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you just do one set exposure for your darks, and do you scale?
Nope.
Or do you do one for each exposure time? You do?
Yeah, I do one for each exposure time. Even though optimizing the darks does work, I find that sometimes optimization of the darks doesn't work sometimes. It's something about, maybe it's me and maybe it's my darks, and maybe it was time for me to do new darks. But I find that I get a better result by taking a dark library and making the proper, I only take pictures at 30, 60, 90, 120, and 180. That's all I do. I don't go and do any more than that. So I don't do any more than 3 minutes. Even at narrowband, I don't do any more than 3 minutes. So it is what it is, but those are the darks that I take.
Is that based on preference, or based off of, knowing how your skies are?
My location. Yeah, it's all about my location. If you don't get me wrong, I ran at the beach just to see if I could do it with an EQ6R and I think it was it was the ASCAR 400, a 40-minute sub, just to see if I could do it with an EQ6R. Shit, it worked. and it worked. And I was like, oh, my polar alignment was great and everything was great. I'll never be able to do it again. It's like the hole in one I got that no one will ever see. But it's like, you don't expect that type of performance on any night from a sub $2,000 mount, a 40-minute shot. You don't expect to do that, but I was able to do it. I know I have it somewhere in my plethora of bad data and stuff I'll never use again. I'll probably never find it, but I'll do it again and see what happens. I just can't do it now because if I do a 40-minute shot, I'm hitting the freaking telephone wire. So
Yeah. No, but I'm like you, where I will take myself. I go from 10-minute or 600 seconds all the way down
Yep.
to. For me, I've gone all the way down to 10 seconds, especially if I'm using the RASA.
Yep.
Because sometimes I can move my imaging train around and or move cameras or what have you for a particular season, and that way they're done for those 3 months. If I'm going to say use my 2600 on both the FLT 91 or the RASA, I'll just go ahead and do them all on a cloudy day or what have you, and that's that.
And Mark made a good point. You could group by your exposure times, although I don't choose to do that because you ever use the grouping keywords in Pix Insight? Yeah, it's a really cool kind of thing. They came up with that. What was it? WBPP 2.0, I think they came out with. It's been around a while, but you could sit there and you could take, like, if you do what I'm doing now, I'm taking flats every night now because I got the automated flat panel. So I'm taking flats every night, no matter what. And so everything is saved in folders called night 1, night 2, night 3, night 4. And I have a grouping keyword of night. And it just slaps it all together, and it knows what folder it is, and knows what folder group 1, group 2, group 3, and knows the flats on night 1 go with flats on night 1, flats on night 2, and so on and so forth. But it's really cool when you get into like how powerful Pix Insight really is. It's pretty freaking amazing. It's unbelievable what they're doing with this, and it's just getting better.
Yeah, that's the one thing, DB, that I should do, but I don't, because my imaging train doesn't move, but I should do flats every session, after every session or just before I start a session. But honestly, I don't.
I got to be honest with you, Eric. For the longest time, I made master flats for months, and I would use those same master flats for a long. Well, I made it for every project. So if it was a new project, I would take new flats. So once I was done with an object, I would use those master flats, and then I would move to the next project, take a new set of flats, and move on from there. But I would always have them. I use master flats for years. I mean, not the same flats for years, but I've been taking, use them for an entire project, and I've gotten reasonably decent success with doing that. And as long as you don't mess up, Dave, to your point, yes, dust might move and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But you know what? Until I see an issue, I wouldn't take new flats. I mean, I would just do a master flat, take 50 of them, leave your imaging train alone. Do not rotate the camera. Do not take it apart. Do not do anything. Finish your project and use those flats and then move on. Now, if you see an issue, then you might want to take new flats. That's all.
But you know what? Though? Think about it. Yeah. Think about it, Dan. During your imaging session at night, how long does it take to take new flats? It doesn't take anything.
It's not the length. It's not the length. It's the laziness, because I didn't have a automated flat panel, and now I'll be damned that I'm trekking through 15 inches of snow to put a damn flat panel on to do a 5-minute project. Not happening. I'm just not doing it. I'm just too lazy. I know myself. If Jason was here, he would tell you, hell no, I'm not going out in 110-degree weather to go put it on a damn flat panel. I'm not doing it. And not only that, running back and forth to change the sensitivity of everything because it's too damn bright. And it's not.
This is the automation now, and the fact that you got the algorithms to lower down, you can do everything.
Yeah,
I used to have to carry out my spiker flat. The thing's the size of like a little TV. And you sit there like this, and you're like this.
And that's me. And that's me because I'm sorry, it drives me nuts. I know that they're necessary, Pete.
Yeah,
I know.
But this is the thing that gets me about it is believe me, I understand that. But we all know that to do your flats, at least a good starting point is that we know what your full well capacity of a camera is. Just do a 50 to 70%. That's where my light intensity has to be. So it gives you a good starting point. So now is either going to be maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds. So all you got to do is you got to do 1, 2, 3 tests, and then you can be right there. It's really not that much effort to do it.
No, it's not. It's not. But again, to Dan's point, I'm just like Jason.
Is a trait of human nature. We all want to be able to say, "Oh God, do I want to get out there when it's 1 o'clock in the morning?" And you're right, Dan. Is it 0 degrees? Do I want to do that? You're absolutely right.
No,
I don't.
No.
I don't always trust the ASI Air. I don't always trust the ASI Air.
The auto
setup, because when I have done different filters, say narrowband filters especially, I could end up for my HA, it can be 7-8 seconds long, and then it could be that between 50 to 70 percentile range on the histogram. If I do the exact same thing and now if I'm doing my flats for example, my 03, then all of a sudden it does the auto flat setting and my flats are a third of the histogram. It doesn't make sense all the time. It's just weird how the ASI Air, it's not always reliable. It can be very.
I can't believe you're bad mouthing the ASR, and I'm going to come to the defense here. So, I gotta say,
I go back in there and I say, no.
Is that what I'm hearing?
I'll start doing it myself, and I'll start measuring and saying, that's what it's supposed to be.
I'm not a huge ASI Air user like yourself. However, I've never had that problem with the auto flats. It always seemed to work for me. I do know of other people that have had issues, not only with narrowband but with broadband, filters, that just couldn't. It just for whatever reason wouldn't be able to calibrate them out and wouldn't be able to do it. And but it really, maybe it could just be that night. It could be one of those gremlins in the system that just, you have that gosh darn it nights, and you're like, this ain't working. And then Dave's sitting there saying, well, what happens if you're in a multi-night session, you can't calibrate anything? I said, you're right. You don't know how much data I have that I could probably put together, but I'm gonna have to do a synthetic flat on it and just kind of fudge it a little bit. It won't be perfect, but it'll be okay.
Now here's another thing when I'm doing my flats.
It's more than just a Band-Aid fix, right? It's just a
absolutely. It's when you get schmucks like me that are too lazy to take the flats, that you try and calibrate and you're saying, oh crap, this ain't working. And you got to do something. You have 20 hours worth of data. You don't want to throw it all out. So you just make a flat, and it's not perfect. It's not great. You got to get the shading down almost perfectly. It's not easy, but it can work in certain situations. And if you crop down to the main object, I mean, it gets it a little bit easier. But at least some of the stuff is salvageable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're lazy like me.
Yeah. And for me, I am lazy. I'll admit it. I do need to go out and do my flats. As a matter of fact, I should go out when we're done here and do my flats beforehand. Because I'll be honest with you. With my edge, for example, I set it up, I get it collimated, and I leave it on the mount for as long as I can. because every time I usually take it down off the mount, I'm moving it around. My collimation, because the mirrors are not locked, I lose collimation and I have to do it all over again. So for me, I am going to have to do that because I have probably done 4 or 5 targets over the past, say, month. And I haven't taken flats. But
Wow.
nothing has changed. You
Yeah.
know, imaging train hasn't changed, and
Yeah.
nothing has changed. So I am planning on taking down the scope and taking the mount and sending it off for repair. So I'm going to be without a
Oh, you're
mount.
not doing it yourself? You're sending it out?
I'm going to send it out.
Yeah, good
I'm
for
going to
you.
return
Good for
all
you.
this stuff,
Yep.
and I'm just going to spend the money and have it sent out. So I will be without my mount for probably Ioptron was estimating, at least they gave me the average was 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, that's not bad.
So no, it's not bad. So I will go ahead, send it off. So I've got to go ahead and get my flats done for the things I've worked on with the Edge 8, and then I will throw them into AstroPixel processor and see where I'm at.
DB wants to take a hammer to it. But yeah, you know what?
Observatory set up and no more moving problems. Absolutely.
I read Norm's who has flats for 294. How long are your exposures for sulfur?
For the
they're high.
294 mono,
They're high.
they're
I have the
high.
294. I think I had like
And
15 seconds.
I used to have, when I had the 294, and it's just the sensor
Yep.
and how it is with narrowband filters. The
You get
Rorschach,
like Rorschach tests.
yeah, you get a Rorschach test on
You
HA
see butterflies and like
craziness. It was like something's just not right here.
Yeah.
But everything turned out fine.
Yep.
Once everything, I would process everything. But it was just weird,
Yeah.
Just
That's why I love my 268. I love my QHY. I love it. I think it's a great camera, so I think I was happy. No, I know I'm happy with the way the filter wheel, the unidirectional turned out, and my flats just came out great. It's weird though. It's weird because in the beginning, I've had that camera for over a year, and this is a new issue. I never had a calibration issue. It just started somehow, some way, and making it unidirectional fixed it. But I'm like, it's kind of weird that maybe the filter wheel's getting old. I don't know. Maybe I need a new filter wheel eventually. But
Dennis has a question for most likely for you, Dan. So where in PixInsight can I put a test sub and look at the data to determine if my background is too bright or too dark?
I'm assuming you're talking about while you're doing the histogram stretch. So if that's the case, I could actually bring it up real quick. I could bring up a sub real quick if you want to give me a second. And tell me if that's what you're talking about, Dennis.
Yeah, let us know. Now, Starlancer, the 294 one shot, which uses the actual IMX 294 sensor, never had a problem with it. But the 294 mono does not use an IMX 294 sensor. I can't remember which sensor model it is, but it's not the 294. It's something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, and I had trouble with that monochrome camera, and I ended up parting ways with it and got the 2600 mono. And honestly, I love the 2600 mono. And my 530, and I have the 533 mono.
Well, that's what the 268 is. So I mean, that's it's a great camera. It's a great sensor. QHY. Personally,
Yes.
I think I like the way it works with the hardware a little bit better than the ZWO set, but it's really a Coke and Pepsi type thing.
492. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, I just know that the 294 mono does not use the same sensor as the 294 one shot.
You know, it's funny. I know Simon right now is testing the Duo, the guiding chip camera that they came out with during NEAF, with narrowband sensors. So I'm narrowband filters. So I'm wondering what his results are going to be like, because
yeah, I'm kind of interested about that too. You know, not that I'm going to buy that camera or anything like that. I'm just kind of interested with it having the guide sensor there on top. How does it deal with, say, if you really have restrictive,
like
narrow
a 3 nanometers,
yes,
and then you're trying to guide on that. I can't see that not having an effect. I can't, it's just
here.
I mean, it's not like it's not like that Sony sensor that they're coming out with, where it's got like that dual layer technology where it makes it super sensitive to light. It's, it's not like that. Yeah, S-Big had one for a long time, and that's why I never bought that one either. A lot of people spoke of issues with narrowband filters, and I've seen those reports, and I can't see it being any different.
I have read from Simon. Simon did put out some information of him testing.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I haven't seen that yet.
I don't recall the bandpass of the narrowband filters he was using.
He's probably using like a 25 freaking nanometer.
But he was saying it was working very well. Now, one question is if you do have these narrowband filters, these very tight bandpass narrowband filters, with that, and I believe it's a 290 guide sensor you're using, are you boosting that guide, that gain up to max?
It's got
to break through. That's what I'm thinking. You have to. You've got to max out the gain.
But then you're thinking, do you bloat out the stars at that point? Do you make a larger centroid, which is what PhD is looking at? Do you make a larger centroid so your guiding becomes less effective? I don't know. That's why a lot of people do an out of focus guide camera or off axis guider to make that small centroid brighter than the outside of the star. So PhD guiding or whatever, meta guide or whatever, is following that bright little centroid in the middle as opposed to the entire star. And that's one of the reasons that, I don't know. I'm gonna have to wait to see. I hope Simon comes out with, I'm sure he'll come out with a review very, very soon, and I can't wait to see his reporting on that.
I would probably assume so. AZ is asking, with the 2-sensor camera, if you rotate the camera, do you have to rerun PhD2 calibration since the guide sensor?
I would say yes.
I would say yeah. I would.
I mean, but I got Pix Insight up. I could show this really quick. So if this is what you're talking about, so this is a master light of a couple of shots that I took, and you're gonna have to excuse the rotation issues. I just looked at it, but I did this over. There's a multiple night thing of the whale and the hockey stick. So if I just you see the rotation from night to night here, and all you really want to do really is make sure you got this guy right here, the readout mode, clicked on, right? And once you have that clicked on, if you left click anywhere on here, it gives you a K level. And that K level, the 1430, 1440, whatever, that's a percentage of white, right? So I'm at 14% white, which would be gray. So now if I wanted to just judge on the stretch, and I hope this is where you're going, if I wanted to go take a look and do my histogram stretch, right? So histogram transformation, and I'll bring it over because it's on my other screen, but there's a histogram transformation, and we'll track, right? And you see where my starting peak is, right? So we want to bring this up, right? And we'll bring this over to the side. Now, what I'm looking at here to start, I'm a student of Dr. Ron Breacher. So
Can you slide the histogram transformation window a little
I
over?
see it. There you go.
Yep. Thank you.
So I tracked it and I reset. So there's a track view because you want to make sure that you're on the right picture if you have multiple views, right? And I'll reset this so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And what you kind of want to do is you want to push this black point up to the foot, kind of right there. You'll start to see over here where you have you're clipping some pixels right here. So right now I'm clipping 78 pixels out of I don't know how many millions of pixels. It doesn't matter. But what I'm looking at is the top one. So the top screen right here is the finished product. This is where you're at. This is the finished product. So if I were to apply this, I would be all the way up on the left edge and it'd be totally black pretty much. But we don't want that. So you see there's these nice grid lines here. There's one here, one here, one here, right? So they're all based at 25%. I'm sorry, 20%. So it's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, no, 25%. I'm sorry, 25%. So 25% across. So I like to be about 10, which would be about here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the mids in and I'm going to bring that histogram over to right. And I don't know if you can see it online, but you can see this little dim kind of line here in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And so that's at about 10, right? So if I use the real-time preview by hitting this button right here, now you can see what I'm up against and what I'm going to get. And you could use this readout mode to see how dark your background is just by clicking on the real-time preview. So just left click on it because we already have the readout mode clicked on, and left click on it. So right now this is showing about 13% black. And for this one, maybe that's a little dark for me. I think that's a little dark. It's not, remember what Eric was talking about with the sensor analysis. It's a benchmark. That 10% gray, well, may not work for this picture. So let's go a little bit more. And we're going to zoom in on the histogram transformation. And you could use that during the scroll wheel. Okay. Or you could use it by change it by using the zooms here and here. And we're going to get a little bit closer to the black. We're at 209 now. We're clipping 209 pixels. Still not ugly, but I want it a little bit brighter. So maybe something like that. It's a little 20. That might be a little bit much for me because once you get done with everything, kind of like that. Nah, it's still a little high. Went the wrong way. Maybe something like that, 18%, 19%. That might be good for me. And then I'll just apply it. Then I'll get out of this. And now I'm able to do my other stuff, right? Whatever stuff I need to do next, blur or noise or whatever. But that's how it kind of works on that. I hope that explains what you were asking. I hope I didn't go off on a tangent there, but
yeah.
So the question is why do they call it the whale? I don't see a whale there. I see a hockey stick, but I don't see a
whale. You don't see the whale?
You don't see the whale? It's like the side profile of the whale?
Oh, hold on. I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back.
Yeah. Basically, it's like
and I'll make it brighter so you can kind of see it. So let's see. So this is the whale here. Okay. And I'll make it brighter for you. So you kind of see. I'm going to really bring it out.
I don't see a whale.
There you go.
Okay. So This is the nose. This is
Yep.
the tail. That's the little fin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see there.
I'll even.
It almost looks like
There you
a
go.
humpback.
Yeah, it's like a humpback. This is the top. This is the bottom. There's the fin, and that's the whale. There, that's the nose.
Interesting.
Hey, you know what? I still don't see a pelican in the Pelican Nebula, so I feel you. So
Yeah, I definitely. If anybody can show me the pelican in the Pelican Nebula,
I
don't.
Once
see
you
it.
see it, you can't unsee it. But you got it. But it does take some, turning it and turning it and turning it like oh, there it is. Okay.
So Dennis is asking, so it has to be a master light, not just raw,
you could use a raw. You could use a raw too.
I have,
like
Carol.
something,
I
man.
agree. I have had a hard time with the lion as well.
Okay,
lion
there's the pelican.
Where's the pelican? Where? I don't see no pelican.
Zoom out. Okay,
I see
hold on.
like Batman's cape
So-
or something.
so- Okay, so I'm going to talk you through this. Okay, so oh Lord, I wish I could like point at this. The black spot there is the eye. Okay,
This
the black
one.
spot. Yep, that's eye. Okay, now go up and go like down. That is its beak. Okay, to the
Where?
left.
This?
To the left. That's its
No.
beak. Okay.
That's
That's
its
That's
beak.
the beak there. There's the mouth right there, and then like where the yellow and the green hit, that's the back of its head, and that's its back there.
Hold on a second. What is that? Pelicans image.
No, wrong pelican.
It doesn't look like no pelican to me. What are you talking about?
All right, let's go. Yeah, now go back to the other.
Well, it would not be the first time that they've kind of stretched, but I'm telling you, I mean, it's not like anatomically correct perfectly, but but if you see the eye right there, okay, so it's a pelican that's got a really big beak. Maybe like a
He's got a
toucan.
he's
Maybe
got a
it should have been a
mutated beak.
toucan.
He's got a mutated beak.
Yeah,
know.
that's
There
a
you go.
really, really mutated. That's like a radioactive mutation.
Dude, straight out of Fallout 5 is the
Really?
That's
pelican.
what the
Yeah.
green is.
Oh, yeah.
Eric, that's what the
Oh,
green
Yeah,
yeah,
is.
that's
Pter-
the
oh,
radiation.
pterodactyl.
Unbelievable.
That's
That
what the green is.
You know
That's
what?
the
Pterodactyl
radioactivity.
would probably have been better, Eric. But
Yeah,
let's say you can
because-
see the eye.
I can see a pterodactyl there with the horn on the top. I can kind of see that.
That's what folks are saying in the chat. It's more like a pterodactyl or a pterodactyl. That, or just take the Soul Nebula. The Soul Nebula, I don't get why they would call it the Soul Nebula. It looks like a baby. It does.
Eric,
if you look at
Eric,
the Soul Nebula, it looks like a little baby.
You want to know why they call it the soul?
By the heart.
The only
You got the
reason why
heart.
they called it the soul is because the heart is right there. So it said heart and soul. That was it. They didn't give a crap what it looked like. It doesn't.
Yeah, thank you. It looks like a fetus. It looks like a
You're-
fetus.
You already have
The
an
Soul
embryo.
Nebula sounds a lot better.
already
than
have
like,
an
what are you
embryo.
doing?
90
Oh, like I'm
degrees,
going to go image
it
the
looks like an
fetus
old man
nebula.
with a mustache.
It looks like
I swear to God, pull up the Soul Nebula. If you rotate it 90 degrees, it looks like an old man with a mustache.
Hold on.
I swear to God, I look at the Soul Nebula and I go, I don't see a soul. I see an old man with a mustache.
Let's see.
Yeah. Because
No, I see a baby on its back. I don't know,
like here, okay, I'm gonna share my screen here. I'll share my screen because this is my image of it. And I'll just go screen share.
Now, Eric, can you turn that 90 degrees to the left?
Oh no, this is not Eric's. Hold on, let me get Eric's.
Yeah, so
I see a
Hold on a
paw
second.
print.
and let me go here.
Let's see if I can get Eric. Yeah, it looks like it looks like the
It looks like a-
2001 baby. That's
You know
it looks
what?
like.
You know exactly. It does. Or if you turn it on
I
its
didn't see
side,
it
it's
now.
almost.
Oh,
If
And
I
you know
turn
what?
this-
And he
if
looks
I turn this
pissed
on its
off.
side,
He looks like so mad. Look at those
yeah, he
eyes.
looks ticked. Look
He
at the
looks like
eyes.
you know
and
what?
the mouth.
It's like the
His mouth,
baby. It's
yep.
like the baby from Communion by Whitley Strieber. It's like All it needs is a pair of overalls and blue skin. He's fine.
Yeah. You know what? I would have rather have called this if you turn it. If I can't do it on this because I can't turn it on its side, but if I turned it where this top here is, facing, the is at the vertical, it almost looks like a buffalo.
It does. There's a buffalo. Yeah, I've
It would
seen
look
that
more
before.
like a buffalo. Like here's the
feet.
here's the front, and here's the back leg, and here's more. If I had a better shot, that it would look more like a buffalo to me. And because if you've seen the American
Thor
buffalo
from Stargate,
it has that hump. Buffaloes have that hump in the back.
Yep.
It looks like a buffalo to me.
Yep, I agree. It
I
does.
like buffalo better than fetus.
Oh, come on. I think I'm gonna go out and take a picture of the heart and the fetus with my red cat. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Hey, Dan, go to my Astrobin website and open up the Soul Nebula because it looks like an old man with a mustache.
Let's see.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
It looks like that.
Everybody sees a different object in there.
Yeah.
You gotta log in. Astrobin, sign up or log in.
Yeah, you'll see that the between the two lobes, it looks like a mustache.
Who's the gentleman? Chris Cole, I believe his name was. That I'm thinking.
Eric
Cole.
Yeah.
Well, he was on the show.
He was on the show, and he does some fantastic work on his post process.
Eric Coles.
Eric Coles, thank you, Eric Coles, and he does a fantastic job on his post processing. Truly an art form because he ends up taking some of these images and then he adds on to it or something, and some of them look like turkeys. He'll make them look like different objects than what they're named after. You would have to look up some of his Astrobin stuff. It is really, really cool on the stuff he does.
Trying to find P. Myers. There he is. All right. Okay. I see. Yeah. So
the baby from Rosemary's Baby.
There. You can see the mustache between the two lobes. And it kind of looks just like he's got the eyes up top there where the circle is, and then the mustache is just below the circle.
He's a grumpy old man,
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
A side profile. Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. That's the eye, cheekbones.
Yep.
Just kind of yelling at you a little bit.
Beard, yeah. But you're right. Everybody sees something different, right?
Yeah. It's almost we should call that the Mr. Wilson Nebula. Like from Dennis the Menace.
I thought you meant from Home Improvement.
Oh no, or the Walter Matthau Nebula.
Walter Matthau needs a nebula. I'll take a corned beef on rye, all fat and a high calorie cream soda.
Oh man, yeah.
It's funny. I was watching him in just Failsafe last night. God, he
Ooh,
played a
good one.
That movie, didn't he?
You know what? The best part of that movie was his whole theory of the convicts and the paper clerks.
Yeah.
That was a whole.
That was it,
and you know what? Since we haven't had it in a while, I think I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. I got to bring it back. Had to bring it back from the past.
The Pringle Guy Nebula.
I'm telling you, a lot of fun tonight. Really good. Yep. Got to do the off the rails every once in a while. That's what we the zip time nebula. Oh God, we'll find one soon.
Yeah. But there are some nebulas that actually look very true to what their title is. Like the Blue Horse Head is one of my favorite nebulas. It truly looks like a horse's head. Looks like
I know the Trifid doesn't look like the Day of the Trifids. I'll tell you that right now.
No, but the Blue Horse Head does look like the horse that ends up in Fredo's bed during The Godfather, and there's the horse's head.
That's awesome. The Soul Nebula looks like the flame guy from Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
He does. He does.
Right.
The
I mean,
dolphin
there
looks
are some
great.
that are
What is that? Wolf
Yeah.
Rayet 134, I
Yeah.
think it is.
No, SH2308. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's by that WR star, the Wolf Rayet
Yeah,
star.
that
Now,
is right.
Yeah.
the one I don't get is the flying bat. I don't see I definitely see the squid,
The squid.
but
You don't see the bat?
I don't, the flying bat. I don't.
Well, you know why? You know, because his wings are in like this.
Are in,
They're
right.
in. He's
know,
in mid stride.
like-
He's
Yeah,
But-
it's like when I'm thinking, the flying bat, I'm thinking of looking like I want to see the bat signal.
good luck with that.
That's what I want to see.
The
I
blue
wanna see
horse
the bat
head looks good. Yes, the bubble does look like a bubble. Yes.
Yes,
Well,
absolutely.
hold it. Let's take a look at the Swan Nebula. I don't see the swan in the Swan
I don't
Nebula.
see a swan.
Well, no, yes, I do. But the problem is this. The swan really looks like a swan, but you got to do it visually with an O3 filter. And
Yeah.
if you do it
But you-
visually with an O3 filter, at least for New York, it's an upside down swan. You can see the head and the bottom. It looks like a swan. It really does. Now, if you
Well,
take
that-
images of it and you take long-term astrophotography, you got to remember that these things were made from a visual aspect. Nobody had CMOS cameras when they were trying to, they looked at things and what did it look like? You know what I mean? They didn't have 25 hours of data to go by, because if that was the case, we would just have letters and numbers. We'd have M everything and C everything and NGC everything, and that's what we would have. Because you got to remember that when we're looking at names of things, it's only for what people could see at the time. You know what I mean? It's not based on all that lovely technology that we all love and adore now. So
The lion,
dolphin
actually,
Pull it up
I've got
there
a
and
shot of
let's
the
just
lion,
see.
and the lion to me looks like the lion. It does look like a lion.
The
Mufasa.
dolphin head. One that always
Nebula.
got,
I'd love
that.
somebody to explain it to me, because
I'm sorry?
like right now, when we look at the Rosette Nebula, I can now see the Skull Nebula now.
You can see the
Finally
skull.
dawned on me, I can see it. But I look at the Swan Nebula and I go, I just can't see it. So somebody's got to explain it to me, because I just cannot see what it looks like.
all right, I'll take a picture of it after I get back from Cherry Springs, because then it'll be a little bit higher. But I'll take a picture from the beach, and I'm just gonna take like a couple, like 2 or 3 minute photographs, and you'll see it.
I tell you, there's one nebula complex that I've always wanted to get, but I can't get it because it's too low. It's in all the muck, but it's Corona Australis.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
Yeah.
got that nice dark flowing nebula, and it goes right to that nice open cluster. I mean, it's just a
Yeah,
beautiful.
you got to go to South America to get that.
Yeah. That's one that.
Well, that's where iTelescope and Telescope Live comes in. You know what I mean? You could get the data and play around with it. It's not a problem. But it's there is something to be said for actually taking those pictures of stuff like that.
Yes, the Jar Jar Binks Nebula. Yes.
That's me.
Or
The
pull
Jar
up,
Jar
Danny,
Binks
Dan,
Nebula?
Yes.
Yeah, the
pull
Jar
up the
Jar Binks
Laughing
Nebula.
Skull.
Which
Pull
one's
up
that
the
one?
Laughing Skull Nebula. Pull up an
Oh,
image of the
oh,
Laughing
oh,
Skull.
Lord. Okay, yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that. My bad. Sorry.
Oh my
It
God, are
looks
you
pretty- It
serious?
looks pretty realistic.
Let's see if
And
I
I
can find-
remember it. Okay.
And we'll just bring it up just for fun and giggles for people who haven't seen it.
Mhm.
It took me a minute to remember. I'm like, oh, Jar Jar
There you go.
Binks.
There's a
Yeah,
Jar
that's
Jar
the
Binks
one.
Nebula.
Mhm.
Gotta love it.
it.
I think I did a pretty darn good job with that. So,
Oh gosh, yeah.
so
Very realistic.
I literally
Lisa looks
picked
like
I,
a baby nebula.
I picked the colors of the nebula, and the picture has little to be desired, but I think this is one of the things where I needed to do new flats on, if you take a look at it, it's really a horrible picture. I mean, if you take a look at it,
got a question here.
Yeah, go.
And can you go back and show where you are getting the percentages of white information in more detail?
Okay.
Fixing the histograms.
So what the white and the black percentage?
Yeah, where are you getting the percentage of white information in more detail?
Okay, so again, we're in readout mode right here, this guy.
Yep.
And then we're just clicking on it. So the K, one would be totally black, right?
Yep.
So we're at 18 or 20% black.
So at that, you're at 20% black.
Right. So if I were to
0.2, yeah,
or actually 20% gray, really. So if we were to reset this, right? Let's reset. Let's zoom back out, right? And then we'll take this from the beginning again. We'll just go open recent image files, and we'll open up the original again.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll move this over a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. And then again, here's the stretch. This is just a super stretch of it. And even with just a super stretch of the master light, if you want, I could even take a open, let's see, where is my stuff? This PC, Astro Acquisition, raw data, and I'll just pick a luminance. Let's see, where's the luminance? Is 145-second shot. Okay, and we'll do a super stretch on that. And you can see that, again, this is raw, so none of the flats done. And if I want to click on it, right now it's at 15% gray.
15%. Mm-hmm.
All around, pretty much, 15%. Now, if I were to go into here, now I'm lowering the black point, right? You see the top graph? Remember, the top graph is where you're going to be if you hit apply. So if I were to clip all that, you see I'm clipping 303 million pixels right there. Sorry. So if I were to do that and hit, see how dark it is. So now I'm at 1. I'm at 1. I'm fully black.
Is that your your A?
Yeah, the A.
Calculate.
Now,
at the bottom.
Once you get the calibration files, you get your X, Y, and just a K file.
Just real quick, Dennis. Also, if you look down at the bottom taskbar, down at the very bottom of the screen, it will also give you your K value down at the very bottom. So if you went back to your master light
right there.
If you don't have it there, look down at the bottom of your screen.
But you have to be in readout mode, though.
Yeah. So at the very bottom of your screen, just above the taskbar there, his Windows 11 taskbar, it also shows the value.
See, right now it says 0.
Yes.
Okay. So now as you get lighter, right?
Anybody know why I don't get the pop-up window showing the values?
Because you're not in readout mode. This is not selected. That readout mode right there. And it's also right here under view, if I remember right. Toolbars, where is it?
Readout. Yeah, it's under toolbars. So you go back to toolbars and there was readout.
There it is, right there.
Yeah, right there.
So if that's not selected, you're going to get something like that. Actually, you'll get it. It's just not. If you're like that on the move, you're not going to get it. If you're not going to get it on that, you have to be on the readout mode.
Yes. I am in readout mode.
And you're not getting anything?
And so when you're clicking on, that's interesting.
Dennis, why don't you later on, maybe tomorrow, why don't we get together on a on like a share screen so I could see what you're looking at, and then maybe we could help you out, because it should definitely be there.
Yes, it should.
I did have a situation once. Let me see if I can remember where it is. Hold on a second. I can find out.
Now, not okay. That's probably because that's RGB. Because I was getting luminance instead of K. So if I opened up, let me see, I'm just gonna open up another one of.
Wow,
Files.
I'm getting. I think, did Google crash? Because I'm not getting anything with Google.
It's Google. Google crash.
Insight. That's weird. Let's see, cursor reader. Icon on the toolbar. Black arrow pointed.
That's interesting.
There's a.
I don't get the window info.
Yeah, hold on. I'm on to something here.
Yeah, when I'm in readout mode, I only get the readout at the bottom of the screen. Interesting. That's interesting. Not sure why. And when you're left clicking and you're holding it down. Yeah.
There's something called dynamic mode. I'm trying to find out where it is.
Now.
The secret is to. Oh, here you go. Edit, then readout options. That'll do it. Make sure that your readout options are set right. And then just apply. Data color space you can change. Average 3x3. That's fine. Make sure that works. Make sure that your view is on, but there's something else that disappeared.
Is broadcast readouts checked? I don't know if that would make a difference or not.
Yeah, this should be checked right here. Show readout preview. Make sure that's checked. And see if that works. Because if I turn that off, it still shows. All right. Actually, I think you probably have to apply it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you hit,
If you-
then it goes away.
It goes away, and if you
Goes
do
away.
it and you hit global, and now it's back.
Yep, and then I apply it again, then it's back. Yep.
So
Now
make
it's
make
back.
sure that that's set right.
Yep.
Hopefully that works for you, Dennis.
Yep, hit the global. Works. Okay. Norm says it works now. Hit the global. Yep. That worked.
Nice.
So, all right. Cool. Very good.
There we go. Very, very nice. Well, it's about that time, fellas and ladies.
Yes. Yeah. It's about
We
that
got
time.
we got a Masters of Pix Insight thing to give away, and we got Picture of the Week also, right?
For the week. Yep. Yes, we do.
Jesse,
Oh my God,
Jesse,
it's almost 10 o'clock.
you forgot to remind us about Picture. I love when I do this.
Honestly, I know. I'm just kind of, I'm back here listening to you.
You have
Oh,
a
that
green
looks
cup.
really cool. You are like drinking space.
Green
That
cup.
is amazing.
There you go.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so let's do that, and let's see how many people didn't vote this time. So, because
and also, if you have not hit the like button, please hit that like button.
Get him, Jesse. I keep going after him. You know, like every Wednesday and Friday, I'm going after him. So now it's your turn. You go get him.
I'm just so happy I could speak. Last Wednesday, the smoke just totally killed me.
Yeah, on Wednesday, you were bad.
It was bad.
How's that doing? How's that doing for you up there? It's starting to clear up a little bit today.
It felt like a normal Friday today. It was not bad. Wednesday was really, really, really bad. Wednesday was really bad.
You get him.
Yeah, it was like post-apocalyptic looking around here.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that took some weird pictures and from Manhattan.
Yeah, Oh, down here too. I mean, it was just as you walk out, it's like orange sky and just it was nasty.
Yeah,
nasty. Then we had the kids had a kickball game on Wednesday at school, and most of the kids wanted to come back in. It smelled awful out there, and I love the smell of campfire at a campfire.
Mm-hmm. We're on the wrong thing here.
Right.
So we had a whopping 14 votes. We are at an all-time low with votes.
Wow.
Guys are getting pathetic.
Wow.
Must vote. Must vote for your pictures. We have 30 people that look at 30 people that watch us every single night.
These are going into the annual calendar.
Yeah.
One of these photos is going to end up in the 2024 calendar. So we need your help going on the website and checking these out, because
we need to drop a link in as soon as the show starts. Just drop a link into the chat.
Yep. All right. Well, these are the picture of the weeks right now. We had some really good ones, everybody. So, Jason, we had a nice crescent nebula here. You got some really good data.
You know, because to your point, Dan, you know, a lot of this is visual, you know, based off of visual astronomers and their viewing and seeing of this. But yeah, if you would look at this now, you would not call it the Crescent Nebula. It would be like the floating brain.
The hippocampus.
Yeah, the medulla oblongata.
The medulla oblongata nebula. There you go. And then we had two crescents. AZ Forerunner. One facing one way, one facing the other way.
All right. Brains.
All brains.
Hamburger.
And then we got the hamburger, and I believe this was Mark Ellis, if I remember right. He didn't put his name in there, but
CDK14.
Yep. And that was it, with a whopping 14 votes.
14 votes.
14 votes. And you know what? In all fairness, I think 3 of us voted, so that means it's 11. Not good, people. Please, we need participation. We need participation in this. So we got a whopping 14 votes. Let's see who won for the second picture in June. And the winner is by a whopping crazy. Let's see, who is this? This is which one is this? This is I hate when you guys don't put your name in here. This is the one with the 9.25. So that's this one, Jason Pellegrini, 9.25, right?
Congratulations, Jason.
Yep, Jason Pellegrini. There you go. So congratulations, Jay. Nice job. Beautiful pick. Everybody had great picks. Really good job.
Very nice.
Really did. Dan, let's talk better voting forms on Discord later. Josh has mentioned.
Oh, better voting forms? Okay. Sure.
Right.
I'm more into whatever makes it nicer. That's fine.
Yeah.
So we also have to do a where is it? I know I opened it. It was here. We have 160 people.
Masters of Picks Insight.
MOP, yep.
Yep.
So we got
way to go, Starland. Congratulations.
All right. So we got a free Masters of Picks Insight class that we're giving away. And their next one is this month. I believe it's the 27th, if I remember right. Yep. Working with narrowband data on the 27th. So definitely check that out. They're getting ready to finish their 4th run through. I remember they started this in 19, I think.
Yes.
So really great job to these guys. These guys are awesome. Every Tuesday, not every Tuesday, one Tuesday a month, they come and they do this. And they got members only free quick. Oh, whoop, I hit a button. Gosh darn it. There we go. Free quick tips. Tuesday, June 20th, quick tips number 9. So that's only for members only. So don't miss out. Tuesday, June 20th. They're doing 2 Tuesdays this month. So here we go. Masters of Picks Insight class. Free stuff. And the winner is
And all we ask is,
Augustine Herrero.
We give guys free stuff, and all we ask in return is that you give us a thumbs up or a like in Facebook. Get the word out.
Share the videos. Share everything.
Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it just depends. Sometimes sharing ain't so good. Sometimes sharing, you end up getting the shot.
Yeah. Don't want to share the hate, man.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, so
Smash
Augustine.
Smash it. Augustine Herrero, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, man. Very, very good. And thank you for Masters of Picks Insight for giving us all these lovely classes.
Continued support, really.
To give away. Really good stuff. So great show tonight. Very, very, very relaxing, very informative, really. Went through Sharp Cap, went through some Nina, went through some Picks Insight, and it's gonna be fun. Hopefully, the smoke will clear and I could start taking pictures again, and maybe I could get that Braveheart axe and start chopping down some power lines. But hey, go. Final thoughts, everybody. How about some final thoughts?
For me, one, I would love to see if we can get Dr. Glover on, but I gotta go and get on the Sharp Cap forum so I can, because I remember there was a question that I asked on the forum, I believe, a while back. It's very similar to what I believe either you or Pete mentioned about how often should you do the smart histogram, because your sky quality and seeing and it changes all the time. Yep. So that is one thing I would like to inquire about again, is how often should I do this so I can image, based off, for that particular day, but with Nina, I tell you, if you have Nina, you could run that, what is the optimal
Yeah, the optimal exposure calculator. Yep.
Yeah, run that every day, or every session. You might be able to do that, and then just before you get out, and actually start your session, it may be able to help you start better planning for that particular day or night.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
it does take a while though. It does take a little bit and a little bit of running around. So I mean, if you don't have the time to do it, sometimes you don't. So
yeah, it does. It does. But no, again, I do enjoy shows like this when we're sharing information that I hope has some value to people, and they can take away, a few things here and there, and just use it. Use that information to help them out. Hopefully it helps them out.
Hi, Pete. Going around the horn here.
Just a great show. Good to be back on, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll definitely kind of send some images of this project that I'm working on.
Nice. All right. Jess?
Nice to be on. Good to see you guys again. I just enjoyed the show. As I'm just kicking back and listening and learned quite a few things again as usual myself. And can't wait to two more work days. Hopefully, Cherry Springs will be on next weekend, and I can remember how to do Astro again. And
yeah. So it depends. Maybe Friday we might not have a show depending on the weather, but that's if Eric ever gets on the director's part of the show. So
you keep talking about that.
Oh man, it's time to let you fly, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Gotta let gotta let the babies out of the nest, man.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I've got a new internet provider, so I should have much better upload speed now that I have.
There you go. Yeah, you need a good you need at least 20, if not more. But
yeah, now that I've got fiber, I have 1,000 up and down. So
oh geez, yeah, that's I don't even know what I'm running now. So let's see, speed test, right?
Yeah. So yeah, but again, Jesse, Pete, thank you guys for joining always. And did I finally get rid of DSL? Wow. Yeah. No. Yeah. I guess.
Do people still have DSL? I guess people in the mountains. So.
Might. But no, I'm going from Xfinity to
let's see,
fiber, and it's pretty cool.
So let's see. It looks like I'm about 800 up, 800 down. So.
Okay, so you have fiber. So you have fiber?
No, no, it's not fiber. It's FiOS. So it's
FiOS.
It's fiber, but yeah, I guess it's fiber. So now it's reading 6 to 80, but I could get even higher on that. I'm also running everything at once. So, but
cool.
But I got gigabit in my house. So.
So now I better say goodnight to everybody.
Time to say goodnight,
guys. Enjoy your weekend, but I'm gonna take some flats and do one more. I may as well go ahead and do my image, and probably go ahead and fire up SharpCap and do an image analysis.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not doing much, and it looks like I'm not doing much for the foreseeable future from New York, at least. I mean, if I take a look at cloudy, clear outside, whatever. Saturday crap, Sunday crap, Monday crap. So nothing really, and I'm just hoping, and that'll be the time when I'm going to start looking at the forecast for Cherry Springs, because Monday, Tuesday is kind of when I start looking at it, because Wednesday, Thursday I got to make the call. So I mean, it's just we shall see.
If I don't talk to you before then, Dan, definitely make sure. I probably will. Just to kind of get an idea of what you're thinking too, because I've been paying attention. It's still pretty far out, but just kind of get an idea of what. Yeah. And I mean, it's not looking very optimistic right at the moment, but of course that can change.
If I take a look at the long, see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, everything's showing rain right now. Everything, all the way up until
partly cloudy.
All the way up until the 22nd, it shows rain. And that's really long-term forecast. This what Friday night says mostly cloudy, so it doesn't even show sunny. So it
And
doesn't
are you
look
looking for
good.
two consecutive? Are you looking for two consecutive clear nights or just 2 nights? Because I like if they're calling for like rain on Friday or Sunday, or just one of those 2 days, I'm good with it. If they're calling for like rain on Saturday, like I just don't want to be sitting in a tent in a puddle.
I hear you. I hear you. But we'll keep an eye on it as it goes. I'd rather just 2 nights of the weekend. So that means if it's got to be Friday, Friday, Saturday. I mean, so I
Friday,
mean,
Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday.
yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I mean, 3 would be beautiful, but I'll take 2.
yep.
So,
We'll see. We'll see.
sounds
We'll
good.
keep in touch. All right, everybody. Well, it's 10:06 and it's time to say goodnight, my fellow astronauts. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and joining us tonight. Congratulations to Augustine for winning the Astro Masters Olympics Insight class. And we'll see. We'll definitely see everybody next Wednesday.
Winning IOTW, winning Image of the Week.
Yep.
Congrats to Star Wars. So yeah.
Yep. Congratulations,
but guys. Please, on the replay. Yes, I know a lot of our viewers enjoy the replays. I'm asking you guys, vote.
Please vote.
More. We need more than 11 votes. I mean, this is to get on the calendar. You're going to be immortalized. People are getting immortalized.
We have a lot of people and a lot of reach with social media. And just go on the website, go on the image contest, click on a picture, and hit save. Maybe people aren't hitting save. Maybe they're just hitting the button and thinking they're done. You got to hit the button and you got to hit. Is that your final answer? So make sure you do that. So everybody, listen. Have a good night. We're definitely having a show Wednesday. The way it looks, probably on Friday too. But we won't make that call until Wednesday night. So everybody, Jesse, Pete, Eric, love you guys and girls. And thanks for hanging out all night, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. So everybody have a good night. See you Wednesday night. And remember, keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies. And we'll see you Wednesday. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.